In this video I'm replacing the front crank seal on a 1999 to 2007 era 5.3 GM engine. To do that I'm going to give myself access to the area, took off the air duct there, and then went underneath and went ahead and released the tension on the AC belt by turning the tensioner with the 3/8 ratchet clockwise, and then up top loosening the primary drive belt with the 15mm socket, again clockwise, to relieve tension. And those belts are off and loose now. I'm going to go ahead and continue and remove the upper shroud, a couple of clips on each side of the upper shroud attaching it to the lower shroud, and a few other clips holding hoses in place. There's also a couple of 10mm head bolts that hold the upper shroud to the front radiator support, and that will take out the shroud. Then I'm going to use a set of vice grips here on the fan pulley to hold that in place while I whack a big crescent wrench on the fan nut here, and that's counterclockwise, it's not reverse threads or anything. And then the fan comes off and out. Now we have good access to the lower crank. If you're lucky enough that your impact gun will take off this lower crank bolt, that'll come out that way. Otherwise you're going to have to probably do it from the bottom with something holding one of the spokes of the pulley, a wrench or something to wedge in there. With the transmission out of this one, I was able to secure it from the rear, and then I used a cheater bar to break the crank bolt free, and then took it out the rest of the way from the top with an impact. Then I just found a generic bolt to stick in the hole there, something to press against with the 3-jaw puller. This was very cumbersome, and so I went to a clam style wheel bearing puller, and it worked a lot better. I was able to secure it behind, and then I put the original crank bolt back in, stacked a socket and a pipe cap on there to press against for stability. And then once I pressed it out a little ways, I took that bolt out and put in a longer one that I was able to press it the rest of the way off with. Once it was off, I was able to just take a standard sill puller and pop out the front crank sill and clean up the area and get it ready for the new one. Wipe it out a little bit, and then I lubricate the inside of the sill just a little bit so that when I press the pulley back on, it'll slide into the sill easily. And then this is a 3D printed kind of a cup that fits the size of the sill to kind of press it in, but you could just tap around the edges with something until it's flush with the surface. And then I clean up the area a little bit more, and then before putting the crank back on, clean up the crank itself a little bit where it's going to ride in the sill. And this part's tricky. You kind of got to get it centered on there and then tap it with a hammer a few times before you can get the front crank bolt to catch and pull it on. And unfortunately I mixed up my pause and record button, so I didn't get that. But you just tap it on there a little bit, and then once you get it on far enough, you can put the crank bolt on and suck it down in the rest of the way. And then it's going back together with belts and shrouds and all that, and it's ready to go. I hope you found this useful. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you like and subscribe.